and we'll get going. Okay, so we're gonna come to laying down on our backs. And as you come to laying on your back, we'll center from here. I want you to find and feel a little bit of this fire from the very beginning of your practice. So as you lay down and you set your feet on the ground, take your hands to your ribs, where you might experience a flaring of the ribs. Take your hands there. And now, as your footprints are on the ground, as your hands are at your ribs, tilt your pelvis so that your belly is lifting a little bit, your low back is lifting a little bit. And then as you take your next few breaths, we're gonna exhale and compress the ribs. Inhale to let them expand and exhale to compress them. Keep this tilt of your pelvis so that your sitting bones are moving down, belly is lifting, low back is lifting. Exhale, compress the ribs. And we're going to take 3 more this way. Inhale to let them expand. Exhale to compress. Inhale and exhale. As you inhale and exhale, notice that place at the solar plexus. This time, inhale and exhale, compress the ribs, keep them pressing down as you take your next few breaths. As you're keeping that compression, you can even keep your hands right there. You can let your eyes close if you want to, but you're gonna take some breaths, keeping that compression through the ribs, through the upper part of the core, the solar plexus. As you take those breaths, you're doing some compression and some work, adding some fire, but you're also maybe allowing your jaw to relax, maybe unclenching a little bit around the glutes, and noticing where you don't have to hold while you're still holding. And now relax, soften, let everything sink into the ground, even your arms, your head, your low belly and your back. If it naturally releases a little bit, that's okay. With your eyes closed, take a moment to tune into this concept of your personal power. Notice that place in your body where you might be feeling some sensation now from that little bit of core work that we just did. Set an intention for your practice to notice and to be in your personal power. And now draw knees up toward your chest and think about narrow or wide and compressing. So this is a part of that digestion action, is compressing into your gut. Rock a little side to side, let your low back lengthen. And now keep the right knee in toward your chest, extend the left leg all the way out against the ground. And as you exhale, compress the knee a little bit closer to your side or to your middle, whichever feels the best. Inhale, switch sides, and exhale, compress. Inhale, switch sides, and exhale, compress. Inhale, switch sides, exhale, compress. Now inhale, switch sides, and this time you're going to keep the left leg lifted off the ground, a little lift through your ribs, your chest, and your heart. Inhale, switch sides, exhale, compress. Inhale, switch sides, and exhale, compress. As you do this a couple more times to each side, it's both digestion and a little core strength. Inhales help you to switch, and exhales help you to compress. We've got one more on each side. And then release all the way back down, set footprints on the ground, walk your feet out wider than your mat, and drop your knees a little side to side, giving yourself that little bit of twisting action through the torso, through the hips. And now as you come back into center with your feet, we're going to roll over to our sides and bring ourselves up to our hands and knees position. And as you settle into your hands and knees position, take a moment here, hips back towards your heels for your child's pose for just a couple of breaths as you let your head settle. And as you allow yourself to experience and feel that breath that moves from belly to ribs to chest. And now inhale, coming up to your hands and knees. We're going to step right foot forward in between our hands. And you might use blocks underneath your hands here, but work your back knee back, tucking your toes under. Work it back until your knee is back behind your hip or to where it's the most comfortable for you. Center with your hips, extend your heart forward. Take a full, big, deep inhale and exhale, experiencing the stretch through the hips, the quads. And now as you bring your hands up to your hips, start to lift up with your chest, opening up through your heart space. And now let's take a cactus with our arms or a goalpost. Palms are forward, elbows are moving back in space. Engage the low belly and the ribs to support the low back. Take an inhale and lift your ribs up a little higher. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat and settle back onto your hands and knees. And you can use your blocks for this transition if you want to. Step your left foot forward. And then work your back knee back as far as you need to get a little longer stretch through the back thigh. A little centering action with the hip, wrapping the left hip back in space. Take a big breath, grow longer through your sides. And now bring your hands up to your hips for a moment. Recenter with the hips. As you settle into your front knee, you're still pressing down with your back knee to allow the hip to lift a little bit. And then come to that cactus place with your arms. Press back with elbows, shoulder blades are engaging, and now find that engagement through the ribs that we practiced on the ground. Exhale, ribs in. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat and settle back onto hands and knees. And once again, step the right foot forward in between your hands. Back knee works back as far as you need. Extend your heart forward. And now, as you bring your hands up to your hips this time, we're pressing down onto your hips, lifting up through your sides, and then reaching left hand across to your right knee or thigh, right hand at your hip. Press, lengthen both sides. Then exhale, ribs in to help you twist. From this place, if you'd like a little bit more action in your pose, lift your back knee up. Take a full, big, deep breath. Keep lifting through your torso, engaging the ribs for that twist. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, hands back down, knee back down. And then again, you can use props here if you'd like to switch. Left foot steps forward. Work the back knee back, center the hips, lift your heart up. And from here, with hands at your hips first, press down, find lots of length from hip to armpit. Then exhale, ribs in to help you take that twist to the left side. Right hand comes across to the left knee or thigh. Left hand at your hip, maybe even further onto your low back. Take a big inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, ribs in to help you find that twist. Feel free to add a little bit more fire by lifting the back knee up if you would like. Take a big deep breath. Engage the low belly and the ribs. Inhale back to center. Hands come down, back knee comes down. Settle back onto the hands and knees. Hips to heels. Take your child's pose. Take a moment in your child's pose to notice, recognize what's showing up in your body for fire, heat, sensation. And now inhale, rise to hands and knees. Find that rotation of your upper arm bones here, so elbow pits are turning a little forward. Press into your hands, expand into the upper back. Tuck toes, lift hips. Downward facing dog pose. Take a full, big, deep breath. And now walking your way forward, take as many steps here to come forward into your forward fold as you need. Take an inhale and lengthen part way long through the spine. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Press back on hips, start to lift up and open through the shoulders, up with the elbows and rise all the way up to stand. And now from this place, as you find your feet inner hip distance or wider, release your hands, fingertips toward the ground, lift up and open through your shoulders. Close your eyes and take a full big breath. And now hands come behind your back to clasp. As you press your palms together, you're lifting up and open through the shoulders, elbows bent and hugging back toward each other. Take a big inhale, lift your heart up high. Exhale, ribs in. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, engage and tone through the ribs. Now release the hands, and we're going to do two things from standing. First one is another core pose. You can have a stack of blocks. You can have a chair or a stool. You could even use your hands on a wall, a table, a couch, whatever you happen to have. But having that prop right in front of you as a possibility of something to put your hands down on if you need a little bit of assistance there. So now as you find your feet inner hip distance apart and parallel, touch right toes behind you to the ground. Center with your hips. So you're drawing your right hip a little forward. And then engage the low belly and the ribs. And then begin to lift the back thigh. As you lift the back thigh, keeping the toes rotating down, hinging at the hips. Start to bring your hands down to whatever you're using for a prop. Extend your heart forward and push with your hands into your prop to lift your ribs up, engaging that upper part of your core. Extend your heart further forward, press through your heel. And then if you would like to, you can lift one hand to your heart, maybe two hands to your heart, maybe touch down. Find that play of a little bit of work, a little bit of fire for yourself. Take a full big breath. Engage through the core. Deep inhale and exhale. One more big breath, maybe lifting hands, maybe touching them down. And then push with your standing leg and lift your heart up, bring your foot back down. Okay, and now pause for a moment with both feet on the ground. You can close your eyes here, take a big breath and notice what has the sensation in your body. There's no right or wrong answer. It could be anywhere. Full breath. And now as you softly let your eyes open, we're shifting our weight onto our right foot and touching the left toes behind us, centering with the hips. And as you lift up through your ribs and your chest, engage through the core now, hug in. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, start to lift the back thigh, lifting from the inner thigh, trying not to tip over your water bottle, and then hinge at the hips. Bring your hands down to start with, onto your prop. Whatever you're using, rotate your outer left hip down, push through your heel, extend your heart. Tone through the core. Those ribs love to drop toward the ground here because of, gravity. So take a full big breath with the engagement of the core, strong through your standing leg. Maybe bring one hand, maybe two hands up to your heart. Maybe play with it and see where you can find that strength, that power. Full big breath, wherever that is. Ooh, yeah. Full inhales and exhales. And then press into your standing leg, lift your torso, and rise back up. Both feet to the ground. Find feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. I'm going to keep my prop handy because we're going to come to one more thing. Hands to your hips, lift your heart up high. And then move your shoulders back, lengthen the back of your neck, full big deep breath, push into the ground. And now step your right foot to your prop with your toes up on the prop, your heel on the ground. So whatever that happens to be, and again, it could even be a wall. That sometimes is the easiest place to find. If you have blocks, that's a good spot to be in. Back foot can be as far back as you need it to be able to calm your nervous system down. So you might bump it back a little ways. Mine's a few inches back, but toes aimed forward on both feet. Hands to your hips. Take a big breath and just notice the stretch that's here right now. For me, that's a pretty intense stretch through the calf. Might be hamstring, might be all the way to the glutes or the low back, just from standing here. Then a little bend to your back knee. Front leg is staying straight without locking. So give that knee joint a tiny bend. Then push hips back, heart forward. With your back knee bent, your hands come down to your prop. Whatever you're using. And again, that could be out to a wall, okay? So now as you send your sitting bones up, try not to let your front leg, your right leg, lock. Try and keep a little micro bend. Sitting bones lift. Heart extends forward, full breath. And now root through your bent knee, your back leg, push into the ground and inhale, rise all the way back up. And then set both feet down and pause for a moment and notice. And now left foot steps forward. Coming to your toes up on something, heel on the ground. For this one, I have to back my foot up a little ways. And as you find that place for yourself, just notice your breath. Notice what is there for intensity. Notice what's stretching just by standing here. Keep a little micro bend. We're trying to keep an unlocked joint on that left leg. Toes are aimed forward on your right leg. Give your right knee a bend. Start to hinge at the hips, pushing hips back as you lead your heart forward, and then bring your hands to your prop, whatever you're using. Again, bent back knee, left leg is straight. Send both sitting bones up. Keep an unlocked knee joint on your left leg. Take a full big breath. Then push with your standing foot and inhale, rise all the way back up to stand, set both feet down, and just take a moment to feel. And now hands to your heart, feet are inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes, close your eyes as you root down through the floor, lift your heart up high. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, bent knees to fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way, long spine. Exhale and fold. In your fold, take a moment to come to as deep a fold as your body needs to be able to still lift your sitting bones up. So that might mean bringing elbows or hands up to your thighs to lift sitting bones. And now as you plant your hands and step back with your feet into your downward dog or hands and knees, bend knees, lift sitting bones, push from your back muscles out through your hands. And then lower knees down, hips to heels, take a child's pose. Full big deep breath. And then gently bring yourself all the way back up to your seat using your hands for support, hips off to one side, legs out in front. You're welcome to have legs a little bit more wide and something underneath the thighs to support the hamstrings. But we'll take a little twisted fold. So again, make it a little bit more comfortable for your hamstrings if you'd like to. Okay, so shift your sitting bones back and broad. press your heels down and pull your toes back towards your nose. And even more so, as you push your heels down, think of dragging them back isometrically. So your belly gets to tilt towards your legs. Sit up on something to find that if you need to. Press down with fingertips, lift up with your sides, and then reach across to your left thigh with your right hand. Press down with your left fingertips beside you or behind you. Find lots of lift and length. Exhale, ribs in to help you twist. Keep steady and strong, pressing down with your heels and drawing them back to help your pelvis tilt forward, belly forward. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, ribs in for your twist. Inhale long through your spine. Exhale, you might walk your hand down your leg towards your foot here for a little twisted fold. It's that combination of a forward fold and a little digestive work. Inhale, heart moves forward. Exhale, ribs in to help you twist. Inhale, all the way back upright. Check back in, press down and draw back with your heels. Toes pull back toward your nose, a good flex to lengthen the calves and the hamstrings. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, left hand across to your right thigh. Press right fingertips down, find more length. Exhale, ribs in for the twist. Inhale, taller. Exhale, hand works down the outside of your leg toward your foot as far as you need to go. Holding the foot isn't where enlightenment is, okay? So wherever that is on your leg, you can inhale and lengthen. Exhale, twist from the ribs. Full big breath. Inhale, rise all the way back up to center. Bend your knees and come down onto your back. And as you find your way onto your back, be sure that you have your props handy. And as you set your footprints on the ground, come to cactus with your arms so that your palms are facing up. Backs of your hands may or may not be touching the ground. It's okay if they're not. Inch your shoulder blades toward each other. And then take a really big breath here, filling out that space between the shoulder blades. And you can even take your feet a little bit wider than your hips and drop your knees in together to touch. And now we're going to move a little bit through our arms, through our rotator cuff. So as you bring your arms overhead with your elbows still bent, you can touch your fingertips over your head. Again, the backs of your hands might be on the ground. They might be lifted a little bit. Really just depends on what's tight for you, but don't try to make them go to the ground. Take a full breath into that space around your shoulder blades, in between your shoulder blades. And now elbows back by your sides. So they're going to drop down below 90, but your elbows are still bent. Take a big deep breath into that space between your shoulder blades. And notice here, this is one of the places where my hands tend to pop up off the ground. Just notice for yourself what is without trying to make something happen. And now arms back overhead one more time, fingertips to touch or toward touching. Take a big breath. And then elbows back by your sides again. Your elbows are bent. Full big deep breath. And then bring your hands to your ribs, to your belly, whatever feels the best in your body. And then you're going to take soles of feet together, knees open wide, coming into a butterfly. And in this butterfly, you can always grab your props, blocks underneath your thighs or knees. You can even take a bolster or pillow underneath your legs for support here if you want to. As you find that opening for yourself, for your inner thighs, for your hips, take a big breath and start to recognize a settling, a releasing of the work. We have 3 more breaths right here with our butterfly. And now I'm going to give you a choice. You can put a prop underneath your legs so that your legs can be all the way out extended. You can roll over and set a prop underneath your spine if you'd like a little bit more heart opening. But we're going to start to find this settled place to do a little bit more focus on our center of power and fire. So as you come to this settled place with either a prop underneath your spine or underneath your legs, arms open a little ways with your palms facing up. And we'll come back to that breath that we took at the beginning of inhaling and letting our ribs expand. Exhaling, let them compress and gently push the ribs into your prop or the ground. Inhale, let them expand. And exhale, press them in. We have about 5 more here this way. And after that 5th breath, you'll let go of any compression and work. Simply let yourself settle and start to release into your Shavasana. So that might be staying here with your prop underneath your legs or underneath your spine, or that might be shifting to something that's more comfortable for you. Find that place for yourself where your whole body can settle and release. Bringing awareness back to your breath. Bring a little gentle movement into fingers and to toes. As you're ready to, you're bending knees and rolling over to your side. And now trying not to use any core strength. Use your hands to press and bring your torso back upright, keeping your hips heavy. And now bringing hands together at heart center. Take a moment with your breath here to tune into whatever sensation is there. Draw hands to your third eye and back to heart center. And bow toward your heart. Have a peaceful, beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.